Hey guys, this is the gear for today's shave. Glad to be back with you, and we are jumping into the day before August starts. And August is a month where many of us in the Reddit community where I am, wet shaving, we will pick a certain soap, do it all month, use the same soap all month. And that helps you to really dial in the base. Sometimes people do it just to kill a tub of soap. By the way, this is not the one I'm going to be using during August. I just want to use it before because I know that for the next month I'll be locked in to a certain soap. And this is a new one that Stirling released to the wet shaving subreddit, and we'll talk about it more in a minute. But with Austere August, and if you've been with my channel for very long, then you know that Austere August is something I've done regularly, and I do it kind of to the maximum. I use the same soap, the same splash, same cologne, the same razor, the same blade, and we call that kind of ultra nightmare mode, right? And when you participate in it, there's no prizes unless somebody on the shaving community puts out some kind of challenge. Sometimes there's one I think called the Headless Horseman, where you don't use a razor with a head, which means a straight razor. And so those guys will shave with a straight razor all month. And for those who don't do it a lot, it's a great training time to where you're kind of forced to use it, and there's no excuses, and so people always get better by the end. Every once in a while you have somebody who says, oh, this is so horrible, I'll never do it again. And I'm not talking about straights, I'm talking about various other things like the blades or whatever. But I am going to do it like the way I told you. I'm going to use Midnight Stag. That's what I've been doing the last few years. And I enjoy that scent so much. It's very divisive. And so it won't appeal to quite as many people. Last time I used up my kind of vintage tub of Midnight Stag, and so I was able to start using another one that I had purchased. And so this one will definitely get me through the month. Oh man, that kind of gasoline, leather, mostly leather, very pungent scent. What does it say on the tub? Leather, gasoline, smoke, and wood. And yes, that is what it smells like. And with terms like gasoline, you kind of can understand why so many people don't like it. For a long time, Stephen Joyner of Dogwood Handcrafts was such a fan of Stag that he would sponsor a competition, a little side contest. For anybody who used Stag all month, he would give them a little prize. And the first couple of years, the first year he did it, it was a custom brush. And I wish I had I won one of those brushes. I wish I had it assembled. Then I could use it this month. Man, I really wish I would have thought about that ahead of time. Dang it. But I haven't actually picked out which knot I want to put in the handle yet. And things are going so crazy. I just bought a house recently, finally closed on it. A lot of hurdles and obstacles that I had to come up against, but it worked out. I think God was being gracious and was with me the whole time, and so we succeeded, and I'm just very grateful for that. The razor we're going to use is the Fatip Testina Gentile, and that is the name they give the Gentile is the closed comb. It kind of looks almost like it would be an open comb because of these, serrations and stuff. The blade we're going to use is the 365 from Gillette. The packaging looks like this. And it's done very well for me in most of the razors I've tried it in. So, and it's one I didn't know for a long time. I didn't know about it. I know that you folks over in India and that area of the world, I believe it's more for that. Guys in that market know it a little better. And so it'll be old hat for you. with the Fatip, as well as many other razors, you do have to confirm that the blade is centered properly, and so I just have to move it a little bit, and there we go, lock it down. Love this value. Inside the razor, it's plated, as you can see, with nickel or chrome or whatever you chose when you bought it, but underneath that is brass, and so it's a lifetime quality razor, and it's a great price. The brush we're going to use today is the Barbear Classico Cerda, and that is from Semogue. It was a rough time finding this one. I did some research and saw how guys liked it so much, and I think it's because it resembles some of the other Semogue brushes that are offered currently, or for years they have been. But this one, I think its loft was a little lower, and it had the premium bristles, and so it was a combination that people just really enjoyed. And who knows, maybe it's because it was rare that it became popular, but I finally managed to get a hold of one. The soap we're using today is Irish Moose, and that is a play on words, of course, for the classic scent in the shaving and man world, Irish Moose. And I do have an aftershave of the Irish Moose somewhere. Would have been nice if I could have found that for me today, but I didn't. The cool thing, and this is an exclusive soap that Stirling released for members of the wet shaving subreddit. And the special thing about this one is, even though Stirling's normal beef tallow base is excellent, it's just one of the best values out there in the world of wet shaving. Honestly, I like even their beef tallow base better than some of the premium soaps out there, because they're starting to bring in things to help your skin be softer, and that changes the way the lather feels and works, to me at least. And I love the pure slickness and pure luxury of that creamy lather that Stirling can put together. But then when you take it to their other base, the mutton tallow base, the sheep tallow, it just excels on all fronts. It's creamier. It's a better base. It has a little funk to it because that different kind of tallow isn't as kind of neutral as the beef tallow is. And so he couldn't make it in all of his scents. And so he picked maybe 6 or so. Glastonbury, for instance, Port-au-Prince, and then of course all the ones that say sheep. Farron was one. And I may be forgetting one more. But when they did the run for Irish Moose here, Irish Moose, they did that in the mutton tallow. And so it's one of very few that were done with the sheep tallow. Smells great, and it does have that classic scent of the Irish Moose. It's hard for me to describe, but if you're older or older than me, then you probably have been exposed to a father or a grandfather, or you've seen it around at least, and you may have even smelled it. But it's a fresh, green, almost grassy kind of scent, but it's a little brighter than like a brown grassy type scent. Very clean smelling. So let's go to it. I will paste the description from Stirling, although sometimes Stirling says it just smells like its namesake Irish Moose. But I'll see what I can find in terms of the precise notes and stuff. So this is the Irish Moose, the classic, was an inspiration for this soap. I almost used Perazzo for today because I haven't yet tried this with my slurry lather method, but I want to show you right now. This is what Perazzo looks like after about 2.5 years of unuse. I ordered this tub new maybe 3-4 years ago. Does it pop out? Yeah, it does. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? I used it maybe once because this is the super formula and it cracked like that with age. And that's to be expected because water, this is not a watertight seal. And so water just slowly leaches out of the soap and evaporates, and so it condenses down. A lot of the soaps do that. Just wanted to do a little trivia there for you. I haven't used that with my slurry lather method yet, and so that's why I was excited maybe to use that today. But nope, we're going to go with the Irish Mousse. And they even put a nice little hand-signed message underneath the cap of the soap. It says, "Thank you for purchasing this special edition Irish Mousse shave soap. A huge part of our growth over the years has been thanks to Reddit, especially from the wet shaving sub. We are forever grateful for your support, Rod and Mandy Levon." And that's just very nice. So yeah, Wicked Edge is another shaving subreddit that's out there. And so yeah, I know that Stirling has a good audience out there as well. It's a little more Wild West over there on Wicked Edge. A lot of people kind of post the same thing on the main thread, and so things can get lost a little bit. And so I tend to stay more over to wet shaving. All right. So let's get my face a little wet. The brush has been soaking in water for about 15 minutes, and so it should be fine. Sometimes you can do a couple different things. You'll notice that the surface of the soap here is showing you that it was definitely a hot processed soap that was, spooned or whatever into the container. And that's going to be a little bit weird when you load things, and so it can give you a little bit unpredictable loading, and you also don't want a chunk to come loose and get in your brush because it's not likely that that's going to get integrated as well. You can, of course, just scoop from here and press that into the bottom of a bowl and go that way. But one of the things I like to do sometimes is to just take those highlight spots and press them all down. And that way nothing's going to come loose. And the loading just is a little more predictable that way. If you want to be more sanitizy about it, I'm going to take that thumb that I just used and kind of use that soap. Instead of letting it go down the drain, just kind of clean my face a little bit. You could use the back of a spoon or something to press it down. And that way, also if water pools in it, it can be a little different. So let us take our fully saturated brush here. You can see it's got hollow points, but the fibers of the boar brush absorb water themselves. They're one of the few shaving brush types where that actually happens. The rest of them just have water between the bristles, but with boar, the water actually goes into the bristles as well as being between them. So they can hold more water than you think. So I'll give this one a couple of shakes. So we're just dealing with kind of a medium wet or lightly wet brush. I'll start by lightly loading. And this pretty quickly, it's not super liquidy frothy, a little bit of that, but you can see it's already giving me some thicker kind of early lather. And so I let that drip, and I swirled a little bit more onto the from the brush and let it drip down into the bowl, that sort of thing. So let's just start this guy. People like to say that boar brushes are soap eaters, and by that they usually mean that they load a lot of soap. And so if you have a large soap collection and you want to move through your soap more quickly, see, look, it didn't take very long to get that knot into more of a pasty state. To load more quickly, and so they call them lather eaters or soap eaters. And but the problem with that is if you load more soap than usual. Oh, you know what? I need to fill my jigger back up because we will be then subtracting as we use the added water. That way I can tell you how much, just in case you're trying to duplicate the lather, or if you are having problems yourself with your lather, then maybe this would help you to you know, figure that out and get a little closer to the right ballpark. Because if you, a lot of shavers online will just say add so much until it looks right. Well, if you're new to shaving, you don't know what looks right. You know, you haven't done it enough. I know what looks right, but that's what measurements are for. That's what measuring spoons are for, if you want to press the right amount of soap or a predictable amount of soap into your bottom of your bowl there. The shortness of this handle probably means that a face latherer is going to like the handle maybe a little bit more than a bowl latherer would. And definitely, if you don't like to get your fingers messy, this is probably not going to be the brush that you would want to use. Oh, just a beautiful creamy lather has already developed, and that's just what the sheep tallow is going to give you. And the lanolin that's in it, and it just treats your face so nice. After the shave, I always feel like my skin is in better condition because of this soap base than many other soap bases. It's luxury that you can afford is what it is. I hope that he's able to keep making the sheep soaps. I know he said that the price of the tallow for the sheep has been going up. So when I start with the Nasset tomorrow, it's going to be use number 576, and it looks like it will be use number 606 if it makes it through the month. And at that point, I might take it to a more round number like 610 or something before I send it to Greg for microscopic analysis. We can see what that edge, finally, after all these years, see what that edge looks like. So a couple of things as you gauge your lather. You may like your lather different than me, but these are milestones that you can think about. When you hold it up like this, or you know, whether it's vertical or even more than vertical, does it move? If it doesn't move, maybe you like that because you like drier lather. It would move if it had more water, because water adds the weight, but also water, of course, loosens it up, makes it a little thinner. Now me, especially with this kind of high performance base, I like to have it where it's quite goopy and gravity is definitely affecting it. And that right there was about 29 milliliters of water added to the base, added to the lather so far. Yeah, the scent, very nice, very nostalgic. I think I remember a grandfather smelling like this. And so that new water I added in, I'm just integrating that into making sure it's in the brush, making sure it mixes with all the soap and lather that's already in existence here, so we get a nice homogeneous mixture. And so we can do that vertical test. Not really moving, but that's okay. We can also do this kind of test where we kind of use the brush like a spoon and pull it up like that, and then tip it over and watch how it drops. You can watch how the lather behaves in the bowl right there. See, it's sticking to the wall a like that. And so I could add more water if I wanted to. Give the brush here a jiggle and watch it drop. Does it land in the bowl and change shape? Does it stay the same shape? You know, as you determine your own viscosity, your preferred lather viscosity, you can find where you like to have, how you like to have those attributes as you're putting your lather together. So this could actually take a little bit more. And that is the beauty of a good high quality soap, like the beef and also the sheep tallow from Stirling, is because it can take a lot of water and it'll stay creamier more. See, like the Perazzo I showed you earlier, even one that's expensive, like Martin de Condré, even a Prix de Provence. That's a vegan base, as well as MDC is vegan as well. And those, if I were to add this much water to it, it would have broken by now. It wouldn't be nearly as creamy. And it probably wouldn't be as slick because it would have passed that point of that, the emulsion where everything is holding together properly. Okay, now this guy, yeah, see, a lot of the textures have disappeared and it's affected like gravity. It's affected by gravity. It is moving slowly, the speed at which it moves. That might tell you about the lather and where you like it. If you like for it to move slowly, and that tells you that, hey, you're at the right point, then maybe that's a good tell. So that is a luxury, creamy. The creaminess is what I'm talking about when I say luxury. The slickness, because of all that water added in, is what I talk about when I am talking about slickness, and the ability of it to give me a good close shave, to protect my skin from the blade, that kind of thing. Splash of water. Definitely a good dupe. When I say that, of course, I mean duplication of the scent of the Irish Mouse. I was saying earlier that boar brushes, when people give them that reputation of being soap eaters, I think it's undeserved. I think they can be soap eaters, but I think a lot of those guys have never taken a boar brush very far in its lifespan because they get luxuriously soft tips after you break them in really well. I mean, sure, there are some that are extra scritchy, and even they will change and be more soft. But ones like Zenith and Semogue, holy cow, just not. I don't think they'll ever be as soft as some of the best badgers out there. But they come pretty darn close. And it's really neat when you can have that brush for so long. You can see how it's all drippy and flying off of me. That's another attribute. Sometimes it means you were not homogeneous as you mixed it up. You left maybe some water in the brush. And so when you made the agitating action here on the face, then you awoken. You released some water into the lather mix. It also could mean that you added a little bit too much water to your lather. And so next time maybe add a little bit less. And that's another reason why I keep track, if I'm really trying to dial a lather in, by keeping track of this number here, how much I added, I'll know to be able to back it off. All right, well that feels great. This is a high performance lather. It's very, very wet. It's even, you can kind of see that it's drippy, and you saw things flying off as I was shaving. And especially straight razor shavers and people who need a really high performance slick lather, then this is going to be the kind that they are probably going to benefit from. The length of the stubble today is just kind of what my clipper left for me. I hadn't shaved in a long time, and so instead of cutting it all down with a razor, I just decided to be a little faster and use some clippers. I like this razor for many reasons, and some I've already explained, but one of them is that it's difficult to clog up this one. It's got a nice channel underneath it that just releases the dross, the slurry, underneath the head, and so it can just drip and go wherever. It's not going to get in your way, cause you to have to disassemble the razor to unclog things. Very good. A little quick splash of water. If your lather is too wet, let's say you don't like it as drippy as you saw mine earlier, there's a couple things you can do. You can take your brush, go back to your soap tub, load for a couple of swirls. That will add soap concentrate to your tips, and then that will then, as you work it more into your face, will increase your soap's ratio to water, and it will thicken your lather just a little bit. You want to thicken it a lot? Just do 10 swirls on the soap, something like that. Also, between passes, you could skip the rinse, and that will suck away a little bit of water out of your lather. You could even do a rinse if that's what you enjoy, because you like the way it cleans your face or whatever between passes. Do a rinse and then pat your face dry with your towel. And that way your skin will be ready to soak up a little bit of that water, and so it will take that overly wet lather and reduce that wetness a little bit. Oh yeah, the smell. This is a very prolific soap. In terms of the scent strength, it's all around me. I'm in a cloud of this smell. I do enjoy it. Definitely brings back memories. Fresh, clean. You know, it kind of, there's a part of it that reminds me of Irish Spring. And so, what is that one? Baker Street is kind of peppy like this. I don't like Baker Street though. It's a little too punchy. What was the name Stirling gave to the one that was kind of like this? Maybe it was Chiseled Face that had one similar to Sherlock. Yeah, Sherlock is kind of a little bit like this, maybe, but no. I'll quit trying to hum and haw in front of you guys, but if it comes to me, I'll let you know. So that didn't take very long, since we had already taken down so much in the first pass. Oh, between the passes, I can feel how slick. There's this layer of luxurious slickness that's left behind. Even after that rinse I did just now, it's still there. And that is that lanolin. That is that, it's going to let my skin feel so great after the shave. The one that just says sheep from Stirling, if you want one that's not scented very much, then that might be a way to go. It just has kind of the natural scent of the sheep tallow. Maybe something like the way Mitchell's wool fat used to smell, like linen or something. I can't remember if they added something to give it just a very light but pleasant scent. Third pass. Oh yeah, and see this is a mild razor, but it's still very efficient. And when I say mild, it's mild only in the sense of how how it feels as it moves across your skin. As you can see, probably a 3-day growth is kind of the equivalent of what was probably on my face, and it just mowed through it with no problem. I could go to work after just 2 passes, and that's nice. There we go. So yeah, I just bought a house, and I am about an hour away from my ex-wife with the kids, and so that's unfortunate, but I live in kind of a metropolitan area, and it's so expensive to live. If you're near a big city, or if you have lived there before, then you know that, boy, it's expensive to live within a big city area, and you just kind of have to go out to the outskirts to find an affordable home. And I feel very blessed to get the house that I did. It just has so many things that I like. It's got some old charm to it. These kind of wood beams exposed with this wonderful dark stain on them. You know, I think that's pretty cool. It's got a back deck. That's a good size. It's going to have to be replaced in the next maybe 5 to 8 years, but we'll just see about that when the time comes, right? All right, well, that's 3 passes. So let us get a good rinse now. This lather did end up to be kind of wet, but it was really just perfect. It was messy, but in terms of performance, in terms of the way it protected my skin from the blade, it was perfect. In terms of a feel of luxury from a slight creaminess that was there to it, it was perfect. You guys saw how it was behaving. It was so thin that when I did that first pass, I had to go back into the tub and get a little extra lather, and that's just fine. And turns out the amount of loading that I did was kind of perfect, because I ended up with enough lather for 1 or 2 more passes, but that's it. So that's good. Lanolin is a part of that sheet process, and some people are allergic to it. But yeah, this is just super wet, and even now, even after that full rinse, I have that feel on my face. Honestly, my skin feels better after a use of this soap base than pretty much any other soap out there. And some of them, like, what was it, Gentleman's Nod maybe? They were adding dimethicone or something like that to the soap to try to get that kind of a feel. But that's just kind of an extra product. That's not a nature of the tallow. That's just an extra skincare product. And I think it hurt the lather and the way that it held together and was constructed and the way it felt. Whereas this achieves probably better performance than that dimethicone or simethicone or something like that. Achieves better results, but it's a part of the natural process of the soap, and so it's not something that we're adding in that later after the fact. And the performance of the lather is amazing as opposed to the Gentleman's Nod, which I did not care for. That's just personal perspective. Some people do like it. All right, there we go. Always give your brush a good rinse afterwards. Boar brushes are nice because most of the time they're not super dense, and so they clean a little quicker than a high density brush. So the bowl is clean. The brush here has been cleaned out nicely. Semogue is one of those makers that has a lot of options for wooden handles. Just make sure you don't have the wood soaking. When you soak your knot beforehand, don't have it up to the wood level. And of course, after the shave, give it a good dry, and the wood will last you for many years. It won't split on you. But if you do submerge it regularly, and especially for extended periods, then you may get some cracking, that kind of thing. Also, don't use really hot water when you soak, is my advice, because the glue that adheres the knot here into the handle, all that stuff expands and contracts if you use too much heat. And as it does that, it could loosen the glue knot over time, even loosen the hairs from the glue ball that's at the bottom there. And we don't want that. Later on, I'll probably start doing a little bit of hair dryer treatment, but I'm a little too busy today, so we'll skip it this time. So Irish Moose, great scent, nostalgic. I think it's a great one to buy if you are older, especially older than me, and you have a more attachment to that type of scent. And to have it in the sheep tallow is just amazing. To be honest, I don't actually know, and I have tried about every soap base out there, especially all the ones that are not newcomers. Last couple of years here, we've had a lot of newcomers to the market, and I haven't tried many of those because my collection is already really big. And many of them are kind of the same things anyway, especially the ones that use pre-blended oils. It's kind of a been there, done that kind of thing. But anybody that's been in existence for more than 3 or 4 years, I've probably tried. And the sheep tallow, to me, is the best lather out there. I don't really think of anybody who could beat it. The way it makes my skin feel afterwards. Speaking of which, I haven't used this Stones balm very much. And I like the scent here. It's kind of all those undertones, sandalwood and things like that. It doesn't really have any high punchy notes to it. And I think that's why they called it Stones, is because it was kind of the foundation or the bedrock. And so I think it's going to be compatible with this soap. I don't think it's going to clash. Oh yeah, that's gorgeous. That's nice. I don't know that this scent of the soap there, the Irish Moose, I don't think that's one that I would shave with just a lot of, on a regular basis. But it's good for, certain periods. Just to kind of go back in time, have something fresh. This is nice. So wonderful to have that, especially in that Mutton tallow. Woo! All right. The 365 was great in the Fatip Gentile razor. It did tug a little bit on that first pass, and so there are probably better razor blades for me in that regard, in that razor, but it was terrific otherwise, and it's very manageable. It wasn't painful at all. It was, I don't even know if it was uncomfortable, but just a little tugging there. And also this blade has been used several times, and so it could be this is one of those that doesn't get used a lot before it's time to pitch it. Who knows? It's kind of my first time trying this guy out. Well, thanks so much for watching. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. I think that we've covered everything. I look forward to those of you who are able to join me during August. It's a little bit boring because I'm using the same gear every time, so my numbers usually drop off during the month of August, and that's okay because, who needs somebody to do the same thing? But I'll probably try different lather building methods. That's the one thing that you can vary, and sometimes people do that and really learn a lot about lathers by doing this little project. So that's probably what I'll do too. So thank you so much. Take care. Good night.